I know there are a whole host of you guys out there who are stuck in what I call skinny fat purgatory. You are too skinny and have no muscle mass to fill out your t-shirts or to look good in pictures, but you're also a little bit too chubby around the midsection area to actually want to take your t-shirt off at the beach. And for you guys, you feel like you've got the worst of both worlds almost. And I know for a fact, after training plenty of these guys, that you can whip yourself up into some serious shape if you know exactly what you are doing. Now, I know that all you skinny fat guys have probably pounded this one question into Google, into Reddit, into every fucking search engine that you can think of. And it's, should I bulk or should I cut? This is the age-old question when it comes to skinny fat guys. And thankfully for you, I have got the answer. It's really simple for me. If you are Googling whether you should cut or not, the likelihood is that you have too much fat on your frame to see any abs and that you are not really happy with your physique. Therefore, it always makes sense to trim the fat off first. Now, there is a lot of conflicting science around bulking, around building mass, as to which kind of state is the best one for you to do it from. So, for example, traditional wisdom has been that we should get really lean and then bulk ourselves up following that, so we've got a nice large runway. But actually, after diving into the science, it seems that we actually gain a lot more muscle mass when we are over 20% body fat. Now, this is a little bit of a nightmare because not only is it really difficult to carry 20% body fat or above around with you day in, day out, psychologically, most of us just simply don't have it in us to stick with a bulk that is only making us look worse in the short term. And that's why I always recommend going through a cutting phase first. The best thing you can do when it comes to getting in shape is to go through a strict cut first. And I talk about cutting and bulking quite a lot on this channel. But for me, if you are starting from a point of zero and you go straight into a cut, it is going to allow you to see some really fast progress. People say that slow and steady progress is the name of the game. I would disagree. I think the sooner you can start seeing wins in your physique, the more likely you are to continue on and to harness that snowball effect of the weight loss and really push on for a great result. For me, it makes much more sense to diet down until you've got visible abs at least. And then when we get to that point, kind of assess whether we want to push it any further or whether we want to kind of go into our maintenance phase and then start reversing out. For me, there is a level of leanness at which the cost of getting any leaner is massively outsized. And I would say that probably comes at around about 10 to 12% body fat. For you to get any lighter than that means endless cardio, it means really low calories, and it also means sacrificing pretty much everything in life that you enjoy, including sex, because you will have fucking zero libido. So you've really got to think about that when it comes to getting down to that 8% or even below that body fat range. I think a nice healthy range is 10 to 12%. Once we've reached that 10 to 12% body fat, if you don't know what that looks like, I would just literally Google it. It's when we've got nice visible abs, obliques, when we're feeling kind of really tight and really lean, and when we can just kind of pinch our skin and not pull any fat off with it. That's kind of the optimum level that we're looking for. Once we've got there, the hard part is pretty much done. Maintaining that physique is a hell of a lot easier than actually getting there in the first place. And that's because as soon as we hit that point, I would always just put my clients right back up to maintenance calories. Even if, for example, I have had a guy on 1600 calories to really lean him out and get him to that 10% figure, as soon as that's done, I would go straight up to maintenance. I wouldn't bother reversing up in increments of 100. It's just pretty pointless. We can go straight to maintenance, maintain that physique for a couple of weeks, and then we can start adding in 100 to 150 calories per week until we start to see that slow and steady change that we're looking for in the bulk that I am going to discuss in a second. But the main reason why I think it's really important to get lean is performance improvements. Now, a lot of you watching this might just be into straight bodybuilding. You might not really care about cardio. For me, I find cardio is absolutely essential, not only for health, but also for enjoyment. My cardio at the minute is composed of a Muay Thai session and a boxing session. They're both pretty high intensity. I wouldn't really say any of them are steady state at the minute, and they won't be until I start training for my marathon in December. But getting really lean is the low-hanging fruit for performance improvements. And getting lean could also be the impetus for you to actually start partaking in some form of cardio. You might never have done it before, but it will be much, much easier for you to go on a run or box or wrestle or do whatever it is that you want to do. When you have pretty much zero body fat on you, this is the time when you are going to feel your fittest, even if you have never ran a day in your life. The second reason is it just creates a really big runway for us. As we know, and as you will know from watching a lot of my videos, is bulking itself is a very, very slow process, and it will take you a very, very long time before you actually see any progress at all. In fact, when I look at myself now, I still feel like I look the same as I did 2 years ago. And then I look at pictures and realize it's completely different. That's because we see ourselves every day and we just don't really notice those small incremental changes. But if you get super, super lean, that means that we've got so much more space to actually build some size without feeling uncomfortably fat. The problem without cutting first, if you're a skinny fat guy, is that you will start bulking and you will immediately hate yourself more because you'll be carrying a lot more inflammation. Your digestive system will probably feel like shit and you'll be a lot more bloated because you're going to be eating a hell of a lot more carbs. It's going to be a very, very difficult time for you to actually go through with that bulk, and you're going to end up getting stuck in that cut and bulk cycle that the majority of fellas get stuck in for fucking eternity. So having that large runway is absolutely fucking imperative. There is another way of doing it though, and I really don't like this way of doing it. I think it's becoming a little bit more popular now. You might have heard of it under the name main gaining or body recomposition. But essentially, this is where you eat at maintenance calories or ever so slightly above maintenance calories, like 100 calories over. And essentially, you can lose fat and build muscle at the same time. Couple of problems with this though. Number one, if you are not a complete beginner, you are not going to see any meaningful difference whatsoever, probably for 1 to 2 years. Number two is when we are working with such a small surplus or deficit, we need to account for the inaccuracies in our tracking and our daily movement. And 100 calorie surplus is just not something that can really be managed because we just don't have anything that is that reliable in terms of measuring our food intake and our exercise output as well. Main gaining for me is for people who are extremely patient and very, very, very long-sighted and don't really want to go through all the fluctuations of bulking and cutting. I don't really like that approach. I would rather just cut really hard and then just bulk relatively slowly, go with say like a 300 calorie surplus over the course of 1 to 2 years and just punctuate that with little mini cuts like I did earlier in the year. That was the best method for me. I think certainly my arms have gotten bigger than they've ever been before by just going with that low and slow bulk. I did that for about 6 months and then I ran a 6-week mini cut where I dropped 8 kilo and now I am kind of back to a really healthy weight again and I'm just going to continue bulking. So what works best for skinny fat guys? Is it bulking, is it cutting, or is it a recomp? For me, cut first, maintain second, bulk third, punctuate it with mini cuts, and completely stay away with the recomp. The reality is most of us are far too impatient to do it and see it through. We're not going to see any difference. We're going to become very demotivated. We're not going to train as hard and we're not going to want to stick to our diet as hard because we're not seeing any tangible results, and results are what keep the train moving. So thank you for tuning into this one. If you've got any questions at all or if you're stuck in a similar predicament, please just give me a shout below in the comments and I will do my best to answer your question.